Okay, hi everyone. Oh, we're nearly at 1 o'clock. I'm just going to wait for a couple of minutes just to see if anyone else is going to join us. Hope you're all doing well today. It's a bit cold outside. I don't know if anyone else feels the same. I have my windows open today. But yeah, it's definitely felt a bit colder than normal. You won't need anything today. Today is just going to be about listening while I chat you through some tips and then share a recipe. But afterwards we are going to be sharing the recipe and hi everyone, we're going to be sharing the recipe and the tips I think on the SportsShoes.com blog and newsletter. So if you're not signed up for that, maybe go and you could go and sign up afterwards if you want to get a copy of what I'm going to be talking about today. So yeah, 1 more minute and then I'll get started. Hi guys, nice to see so many of you join. Hope your day's off to a good start today. I hope I've pinned the comment properly. This is my first live as well, so you'll have to bear with me. Hi everyone, we'll be starting in a minute. I'm just going to wait till 1 o'clock just to make sure that everyone here that wants to join can get to the start. Okay. Right, it's 1 o'clock. I'm going to get going. I've got about 15 minutes. So hi to everyone. Thanks for joining me in my miniature kitchen today. My name is Laura Tilt. I'm a registered dietitian and a health writer. And in today's live, I am going to be giving you some tips for hacking home snacking and sharing a recipe that you can make, a snack recipe that you can make using store cupboard ingredients. So why are we talking about this today? Well, as a result of the coronavirus, we're all now working from home or staying at home, which is obviously super important to protect our health, to protect the NHS and those that are vulnerable. And I just want to say a big shout out to all the key workers and everyone that's working to keep us safe. You're awesome, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Now, for all of us that are staying at home or working at home now, it's a really big change to our routine, and we're all getting used to what we can call like a new normal, if you like. And a lot of people have said to me that they're finding that they're snacking a lot more than normal, and they need to be practicing some social distancing from the fridge. And first of all, I just want to say, let's just set that guilt aside. This is not about snack bashing. I'm not going to be telling you not to do it. It's absolutely fine to snack. But what I'm going to be talking about today is how we can support ourselves with healthy choices that are going to support our mood and also our energy levels at this time when we're all spending a lot more time indoors. Okay, so I'm going to share with you now a few tips and then I'll go through the recipe at the end. And keep an eye on time and hopefully I don't go over. Okay, so 4 tips. So my first tip is actually quite a simple one, but when you're going to snack is just to check in with yourself and ask, am I hungry? And I think with being at home a lot more at the moment, and there's obviously lots of emotions around, we are potentially finding ourselves snacking a bit more than normal outside of hunger. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but if we check in with ourselves, we can actually potentially see what's going on for us. So if you're checking in and asking, am I hungry? And the answer is no, then just see if you can see what else might be going on for you. Potentially you might be bored. I know that whenever I'm procrastinating, yesterday afternoon I was working on something, found myself going to the fridge. You might also be feeling more anxious than normal or worried, or you might be experiencing loneliness, particularly I live on my own. I know that's quite prevalent for me right now. So try and check in and see what it is you're experiencing and ask yourself kindly if there's anything else that you might be able to offer yourself at that time that could help. So maybe getting a cup of tea and sitting by an open window, if you can open a window, or sitting next to the sunshine. Potentially if you're feeling lonely, reaching out to a friend, or you might just need a break from work. So see what you might be able to offer yourself. If the answer is, I still want to eat, that's totally fine as well. But by checking in and offering ourselves different options, we can actually help to build our toolkit of resources to support ourselves during this difficult time. Okay, So my second, I've got some notes here so I don't forget what I want to say to you. So my second top tip is all about adjusting your cupboards. So your cupboards and your fridge. So research shows that we are about 5 times as likely to eat the first thing that we see rather than the fifth thing. And so if you open the cupboard and you see biscuits, that's probably what you're going to eat, and that is human nature. We all do it. So what we want to do is think about switching up your environment so that the healthy choice becomes the easy choice. So that might mean when you open the cupboards, you bring things. So I've got like nuts and seeds and dried fruit in these containers, so I can see them, they're nice and visible. So bringing those to the front of the cupboard. So that they're the things that you see when you open it up, and maybe moving the things that you want to eat less of to the back of the cupboard. And the same goes for the fridge. So when you open the fridge, having things like fruits and veggies, yogurts at the front is a really good idea, just so that those healthy options are really visible, and the ones, remember what I said, more likely to eat the first thing that you see than the fifth thing. So make sure that healthy choices are the first thing. And sometimes people say to me, what do I do if, I want to have some things like biscuits and stuff for the kids in the house, but I find myself eating those a lot. So a tip there is to put those types of foods into like an opaque container, so one that you can't see through, so maybe a tin, and then to put it on a top shelf, so out of your eye line, can be really helpful, because again, studies show that we eat more foods when they're in our eye line and they're visible. So that can be a helpful tip. Okay, so my third tip is to prep ahead. So quite often we wait until we're really hungry to eat, and then our choices don't tend to be so good. So doing a little prep in advance is really helpful. So now you're at home, your routine might be a bit different. So maybe that could include just spending 5 minutes in the morning, just prepping. For example, you could cut up some veggie sticks, so pepper, carrots, so you could put them in a container in the fridge. You could cut up some fruit and just have that, like orange slices, or you could have some bananas on hand, like very visible. Really good to have a fruit bowl on the worktop as well, or I've got a little work surface over there where I'm working, so I have a fruit bowl nice and handy. That definitely increases my consumption of fruit. Or at the beginning of the week, you might choose to make a banana loaf, or something else is making your own trail mix. So you could get some jars or some bags and divide things into those, like seeds and nuts, popcorn, maybe some like dark chocolate drops, that type of thing. And then they're ready, portioned out, ready for you when you need them. Okay, so my fourth top tip is to think about making choices that are going to give you steady energy. So we all enjoy a cup of tea and a biscuit, me included, but what we want to do is try and make most of our choices that are going to keep us on an even keel, keep our mood and our energy on an even keel. So what I would recommend is thinking about combining foods for snacks that are a good source of protein and fibre. So good sources of fibre, so things like fruits and vegetables are a really good source of fibre. Nuts and seeds, really good source of fibre. Whole grains, so things like oats and whole grain cereals. So whole grain cereal might, breakfast cereals even. And also things like wholemeal bread, pita breads, and they can live in the freezer and you can just whip out a slice into the toaster as and when you want. And foods that are a good source of protein, so obviously we tend to think of things like, I guess, meat and fish, but from a snack basis, be thinking of things like milk and dairy foods, so yogurt, also cheese, and obviously there is some protein in things like nut butters as well, nuts and seeds, not quite as much, but there is some protein in those foods. I also like boiled eggs as snacks. And then think about combining the two together. So for example, you could do a slice of toast with a boiled egg, or you could do some breakfast cereal with some milk, or you could do a banana with a bit of peanut butter, or an apple with a bit of peanut butter. And by combining those two choices, you're going to help keep your energy levels on an even keel. Okay, so those are my top tips. So first of all, checking in with yourself and just asking, am I hungry? And if the answer is no, is there something else that you could offer yourself that might be helpful for what you're feeling at that time? My second top tip is to organise your environment so that the healthy choice becomes the easy choice. So bringing those healthy foods to the front of your fridge and the front of your cupboards, and maybe wrapping up foods that you want to eat less of, putting them towards the back or putting them out of sight. My third top tip is to get your prep on, so spending 5 or 10 minutes in the morning just prepping some healthy snacks for the rest of the day. And my fourth top tip is to think about steady energy, so combining foods that are going to keep your energy levels on an even keel. Okay, got it. Phew, how are we doing for time? 8 minutes in, we've definitely got time for the recipe. So the recipe that I'm going to be sharing now, or doing with you now, is hummus. Now, I've chosen this recipe because I love chickpeas, and I think a lot of people really like hummus, but chickpeas are, most of us have got a can hanging around in our cupboards. They're cheap. I managed to get hold of 3 cans for £1 the other day, and they're also a good source of protein and fibre, which is the 2 things that I was talking about, so it fits into that steady energy category as well. And it's delicious. So I'm going to just bring you a little bit closer to my makeshift, well, it is actually my real kitchen. It's very tiny, so hopefully you can see everything. Oh yes, hi Gavin, I love hummus. Don't we all? I also love it too, so hopefully this will be a recipe that you use. And I think also that most of us buy hummus, maybe because we think it's hard to make, but it's actually really easy, so hopefully this encourages you. So hummus recipe, what you need a can of chickpeas. You need to just drain and rinse those. I've already done that here. You're going to need a clove of garlic, just 1. If you don't have any garlic, you might not do, you could squeeze a bit of garlic paste in, that would work. Or if you've got garlic flavoured olive oil, you could put a little teaspoon of that in. To be honest, if you don't have any garlic at all, it's not a major problem. You can still make it. It just adds a bit of extra flavour. So you need the garlic clove, and then you need some tahini. So tahini is sesame seed paste. It's a bit like peanut butter, but made of sesame seeds. So if you have some of this, great. If you, it should be available in most major supermarkets. I actually managed to get this from a corner shop. If you don't have tahini, I have actually made hummus with peanut butter, and I've made it with nut butter as well. So it is possible. It's just nice to have a bit of that in. You need about 2 tablespoons of that. And then you need juice of half a lemon, or if you had one of those squeezy lemons in the cupboard, you could use that. And again, it's not essential, it just does add some flavour. And you need a bit of salt and pepper, and then you need 100 millilitres of cold water. And that's it. Now you might notice that this recipe doesn't have any oil in it, because most hummus recipes do. I actually learnt this from Ottolenghi, who's an amazing chef in London. And yes, he doesn't use oil in his hummus, and I tried doing that one day and it worked out really good. And you can drizzle some on top, no problem. But yeah, it just means 1 less ingredient. So there we go. Right, how are we going to make it? So I'm going to make it in the Nutribullet. If any of you have watched any of my stuff before, you'll know that I was about to say a lazy cook. That's maybe a bit mean for myself, but I do like to keep things simple. I think if they are easy, we're more likely to do them. I think lots of people do have Nutribullets because they make smoothies, but it also works fine in a normal blender as well. So I'm just going to stick everything in. So I actually normally put the water in first. I put the garlic in. I'm putting the chickpeas in. That is a whole can. It's about 2 tablespoons of tahini. I think I said about 60 grams on the recipe, but yeah, I normally just pop about 2 tablespoons in. I'm just going to squeeze half a lemon in, and again, you can taste this if you like lemon. You might want to put a whole one in. So there we go. Right, have I missed anything out? Water, garlic, no, I don't think so. I'm going to put a bit of pepper in now, but I'm going to leave the salt until the end when I've tasted it, to see if I actually want to pop any in. Stick the lid on. Again, like I said, you can use a blender if you want to. You're going to have to just talk amongst yourselves while I, apologies for the noise. It is loud, isn't it, a Nutribullet? Okay. Okay, ta-da! So that was pretty quick. can show you inside. Looks like hummus. So actually, yeah, that has gone down really quickly. I was going to say you might need a bit of extra water, or you might even want to start off with a bit less if you prefer your hummus to be a bit more stiff. So I put 100 mils in, but yeah, you might want to start with 50 mils if you like a bit of a firmer hummus. But remember that when you're whizzing it, it kind of goes quite soft and it does firm up in the fridge afterwards. It's going to taste a bit of that. I actually do want just a little pinch of salt, and I really love lemon, so I'm just going to stick a bit more lemon in there. Just be careful not to get the pits in there. Okay, so that should be done now. Tastes good to me. That's it, that's the recipe. So now what I'll do is I actually just normally stick I was about to say a top, but I normally stick like a beeswax wrap over here and just stick it in the fridge, but you can transfer this to a container that's got a lid, and also do just pop in the fridge. It keeps for like, if it lasts that long, it keeps for sort of 2 to 3 days or 2 to 4 days, absolutely fine. I really like to cut up some veggies and use the hummus for dipping, but it's also really nice. You can spread it onto toast or spread it onto crackers or oatcakes, that kind of thing. It's really nice. So there we go. And I was just going to say, you can definitely get creative with it. So that's your base recipe. But I don't know if any of you are a fan of jarred peppers like I am. So these are ready roasted. And you could just put one of these in and make a red pepper hummus. I'd probably reduce the water a little bit because these are actually, they've got some fluid as well. Say fluid in there. They're quite wet, so they do add moisture. So maybe just reduce the water if you're going to put a pepper in. You could also, if you've got some cooked beetroot in the fridge, you know, the kind of stuff that you buy in the supermarket that's already cooked, you could add one of those and do beetroot hummus. You could put a teaspoon of pesto in. If you've got any fresh herbs, you could whack those on top. Yeah, all sorts of options. So feel free to get creative. I love it as it is, but it's also nice to do some variations as well. So that's it, guys. How are we doing for time? 13:15. Right on. So that's everything that I was going to cover with you today. I'm going to be sharing a couple more recipes over, I think, the coming week or two as we hang out together. And again, they're going to be just things that you can make with store-cupboard ingredients. But as I said, we'll be sharing these tips and the recipe over on Sports Shoes blog and via their newsletter, I think, as well, and their training hub. So do go and make sure you're connected to that if you're not already. And I would love to see your creations. So I've got to remember what I need to ask you to tag. So yeah. I'd love it if you tag me and SportsShoes.com with your creations, and if you use the hashtag no fun standing still at home on your stories, we can repost your creations as well. So thanks so much for joining me. I hope it's been helpful. I hope you've got something out of it. It's been really nice to have you join me today. Please take care of yourselves, stay at home, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.